Welcome back to the show, everyone. Today, we got another exciting episode of California Sober, baby. I'm your host, Mo, and today we'll be going over UFC Fight Night Qatar. We're recording out here in Anaheim, California. Let me tell you, this card was a good card, man. These last few fights, I want to say 3 or 4 cards, have been just stupendous. Like, honestly, a lot of finishes. I feel like at least within the last 3 cards, we've seen more finishes than decisions. I mean, I don't know. I stopped watching all like the undercards. I watched a little bit of the prelims, like the ones I like, but I used to watch like full everything from start to finish. So maybe because I've been cutting out a lot of my UFC consumption that I haven't been seeing a lot of decisions. But yes, let's get into it. The main event, Arman Tsarukyan versus Dan Hooker. Man, was I excited for this fight. I'm a fan of both fighters. I love Dan Hooker. I love his striking style. He comes from City Kickboxing, Israel Adesanya's training partner. And Arman Tsarukyan, he's the new blood, the younger guy. He represents this new mentality of fighters coming out that they're more like complete fighters. It's like they go into it understanding that they want to get into MMA. So they're starting all of their disciplines at a young age, I like seeing that. It's like you see the fighter that's just overall good at everything, It's tough because I like seeing that, but then sometimes I really do like seeing the purists, the ones that come in there and they're just like extremely good at one thing, like levels above everyone else. But Arman Tsarukyan, he represents the new blood, this new generation of fighters coming out, and it's been a while since we saw him fight. He had like a back injury. That was going to be for a title fight. I think it was going to be against Ilya, if I'm not mistaken. And he's been out of the picture, but he's been training out here. He trains out in Newport a lot. I don't know if he's a transplant or what's been going on, but I see him at the Jackson gym a lot, But yeah, let's get into it, dude. I don't know if I already mentioned, but I'm your host, Mo. Been doing these solo videos. I remember when I first started these, I felt weird just talking by myself, but I wanted to do them because I just don't like having to rely on a guest, and I just like talking about fights. I want to just talk about fights and get high. I would love to find a co-host that I could just bounce ideas and talk about fight. Oh, I spilled my ashtray. Oh, boo. Oh, boo. All right, I got to clean that. That was on my couch. I'd love to have a host that's into fighting like me, and we could just talk and bounce ideas back. But until then, solo dolo, baby. So, anyways, let's break it down. The first card I want to talk about, coincidentally, we talked about Arman and Ilya. This first fight that got my attention was Alexandre Tupora versus Beksat Almabayev. Beksat Almabayev. This is a bantamweight fight. Alexandre Tupora, he's brothers to Ilya. He is Ilya Tupora's brother. I believe it's his younger brother. I haven't really seen him fight. I think he's already like 6 fights into the UFC, if I'm not mistaken, or a couple fights into the UFC. But I haven't seen him fight, or I just can't remember if I have. Just so many fights happen. But everyone was saying that he has the same style as Ilya, boxing heavy, good jiu-jitsu, good wrestling. Primarily uses his boxing, and he uses his grappling more defensively. But I mean, he's got some submissions. Let me see if I have his record right here. But yeah, we got Alexandre. He's coming in at 6-1. He's got a 4-fight win streak. Heavy boxing, tight. He has a tight guard too, just like Ilya. He likes to fight very tight guard and everything up to his face. Good jiu-jitsu. He's got good scrambles. Just like I said, he's like a carbon copy of Ilya. Across from him, he's going to be facing Beksat Almabayev. Almabayev, he's coming out a 12-2 record. He's from Kazakhstan. A lot of Kazakhstanian fighters. I guess it's because they're in Qatar. I don't know how far Qatar is from Kazakhstan. I guess it's far, but not that far. But Beksat, he's 12-2. He's from Kazakhstan. His debut, bro. Look, I was excited for this fight because, one, I wanted to see what Ilya's Tupora brother. Like, I heard about Ilya Tupora, right? I wanted to see what he had. I saw some of his highlights. But then this Beksat guy, dude, like, I remember his debut. His debut was against Umar Nurmagomedov. I can't remember how long it was, but I remember seeing him fight. And at the time, I thought Umar was gonna run through him, but not. Beksat, he lost the fight, but it went the distance. It had to go to decision, and he didn't look bad. And if I remember correctly, I think Beksat Beksat dropped Umar. Beksa, he dropped Umar Nurmagomedov in like the first round, I believe. It was with like a punch or something. But yeah, he's got a very karate style, striking style. He's he's a hard wrestler. He trains a lot with Shavkat. And he's got like that outside karate style, uses a lot of karate kicks. It was going to be an exciting fight. I like seeing like the crazy kickers come in with like heavy like jiu-jitsu or wrestling, because then you see these guys just spam kicks and they're not scared of getting taken down. And it's pretty cool to watch, something I wish I could do. But anyways, I'm going to, try to keep this a little short. I know I keep saying I try to keep these under 30 minutes, but it's so hard. But I'm going to really try to keep this like 30 minutes or under. So I might go a little fast. So I'm sorry. Round one. Beksa Alicon comes out throwing combos non-stop, dude. Every single punch is like 3 and 4 piece combos, dude. He's mixing them up well. He's going up high, ending low. He pretty much was just chasing Tupora down, and he was scoring good. That first round, he was landing more of the shots. I felt like Alexandre Tupora, he was having a little bit of a harder time in the beginning of getting his rhythm and his distance. I can't remember if he was a taller fighter. I think they're around the same height. But Tupora, he just looked like he's more like was just waiting to counter. He just would have his guard up and he was just waiting to counter. And when he would swing, it would be like one hard punch, like a hook, cross down the middle with all of his weight down. But oftentimes when he would miss, he would spin his whole body around. But yeah, Alicon, he pretty much outstriked him early on in the first round. He was the faster fighter. Alicon was definitely the faster fighter. He had a good combinations, good volume. Tupora, he was the more stronger fighter. Yeah. But yeah, first round, he outstriked him early. Tupora, he got a hip toss in the first round. He got the hip toss and he landed it inside Bekset's guard. It looked like he was a better, like honestly, from that first exchange, that first round, it looked like Tupora was the stronger fighter and he looked like he had the better grappling. Alicon was trying to like clinch up with him and trying to find ways to take him down, and he just really couldn't, dude. And it looked like when Tupora went to take him down, he pretty much got it like that first time. And he looked like he was bigger than him. So once he did get him down, it was a lot harder for Beksa to fight it off and scramble up. He does get to his feet every time though, right? So, I mean, he didn't spend too much time on the ground, but it just like, it showed that he has to work to get up, right? I mean, I think the biggest thing I took away from that first round was that Tupora was the bigger fighter, right? But yeah, everything Beksa does, I really like that he chains everything, right? From his striking, he's doing level changes, he's throwing volume. So when it comes to his grappling, he's going for different clenches, he's going for like the single leg, and he's turning it into like grabbing the second for the double or into a hip toss. It just shows the train of thought is like he's always looking to have the upper hand. He's going to throw something, and he's like, all right, I don't expect this to work, so I'm going to have something behind it, That round was tough. I probably might have given that round to Beksat. Round two, Tupora starts taking the center. He doesn't allow Beksat to get off his combinations or his volume. Beksat's a little cautious. That first round he was taken down pretty good. And it looks like it showed he's kind of like backing up a little more. I think also Tupora's pressure. That's when Tupora started being more comfortable. He started coming forward more. You start throwing hard, Tupora ends up getting a double leg, Alicon, he pops, gets a double leg, takes him down. Alicon, he pops right up, and he's able to stand up. But like I said, every time he gets to his feet, it seems like he has to use a lot of energy, Tupora, he just continues walking him down, zero respect. Beksat starts getting cut. I can't remember where he got cut. It was somewhere around the eye. I can't remember if I think it was just under the left eye. He really should have. I think in my opinion, Beksat, he should have started adding more low kicks. So the problem was with Ilya's boxing heavy, and he's coming forward with the tight guard, and he's literally just trying to push you against the cage before he unloads. Right. Beksat needs to continue to use angles and get out. He needs to swing fast, and then have an exit plan. Get out and angle out so that Tupora can't push him against the cage. I think if he would have done his combinations, ended with the low kick, and then try to angle out, I think it would have been beautiful, because like Tupora would have been either marching forward or trying to catch him on the counter, and I think it would have landed clean on his legs, so long as he's able to keep his hands up or move his head away from the counter. But yeah, he pretty much just let Tupora walk forward and like kind of pick him apart. That second round, like Alexander Tupora, he really was starting to come on. Round three. Almabayev tries to start strong. He got a good little pep talk in his corner. Good combos. Like I said, when he goes. He throws 4-hit combinations, jab, cross, uppercut, left hook, and then he angles out. It's beautiful, honestly. He threw a lot of uppercuts that were landing. Topuria, he's able to grab a single leg. Bekov fights it. It was Tupora really wanted it, and Bekov really fought to get that leg back. It was actually a beautiful little exchange. But, Almabayev, he just kept walking backwards. That's the thing. Anytime they would get into these exchanges, Tupora would march forward and Bekov would keep just walking backwards. At first, he was using good angles. And then towards, the end of the second, towards the third round, he starts just going backwards. He gets dropped with the cross. He gets dropped with Tupora's cross. He gets up and Tupora hits him again. He doesn't fall to his knees the second time, but you could tell it hit him good and he's backing up. He was kind of scared, man. Honestly, he had white in his eyes, Tupora, he's just hunting. He's marching forward and hunting. Towards the very end of the third round, Almabayev, he kind of musters up some courage. He lands left knee. And I think he throws a left uppercut. He lands a left knee and then he followed by some an uppercut and some inside combinations. It was actually really good and he got a reaction to Tupora, but it was too late. It was at the end of the round, The winner is Alexandria Tupora. I don't remember what the scorecards were. I think it was a unanimous decision. I don't think there's any issues there. I think for sure he got rounds 2 and 3. Round 1 is up in the air. I got to rewatch it, but yeah, man, Alexandria Tupora, like I said, he fights just like his brother. He's an exciting fighter, a lot of power, and he's a big, strong guy for that weight class. This is a bantamweight bout, by the way. But yeah, bantamweight got a new fighter. I can see him hitting top 10 real soon. What is he ranked right now? Is that all right if he's ranked? I don't think he's ranked. No, I didn't write anything. He might be, but I just didn't write it. If he is. I'd like to see him fight a top 10 guy, Let's see, what is that, bantamweight? Yeah, bantamweight. Let's see who's in the bantamweight division. Oh yeah, we got Umar, Sean O'Malley, Peter Yan, Corey Sandhagen, Song Yadong, Davison Figueroa, Alman Zahabi, Marlon Vera, Mario Bautista, Henry Cejudo. How's Cejudo still in there? David Martinez, Rob Font, Vinicius Oliveira, Kyler Phillips, Marcus Mickey. I say, well, let's give him, Kyler Phillips or something. That'd be a good fight. I think Rob Font. I think Tupora probably goes through Rob Font, but that'd be a good fight. Rob Font. Let's see where he's at. Rob Font. He is number 12. Yeah, I'm down. Welcome to the rankings. But yes, I'm going to move forward from that because I'm trying not to spend too much time. Next fight I want to talk about, Bogdan Grad versus Luke Riley. This is a featherweight bout. Luke Riley, I knew a little bit about him. I know he was from Liverpool. I remember he's from Cage Warriors. I'd seen some of his clips leading up to this fight, and I remember I saw some clips from another fight he had. I don't remember if the other fight was in the UFC. I consume a lot of fight stuff, dude. But I remember seeing him and he was a phenomenal striker, dude. His Muay Thai is super good. His kickboxing Muay Thai is super clean, super powerful. You guys probably seen the clips floating around online where he was losing a fight due to the grappling, and he basically let his opponent get tired. Now, I don't know if that was the plan, but once his opponent got a little bit tired, once those hands started to go down, once he slowed down with the takedowns, Luke Riley was able to capitalize and he got a KO. I think it was a head kick or something too, if I'm not mistaken. But he's a very durable guy, dude. Luke Riley, he's able to take damage and just wait for the opportunity. Crazy striking, his punches, his kicks, everything. He's got a couple of head kick KOs. I think he's 11-0 currently, so he's undefeated in MMA, and 8 of those have been come via KOs. He had Paddy Pimblett in his corner, right? So, what else is there to say, right? Bogdan Grad, he's got a 15-3 record. Kickboxing black belt. That's what stood out to me. I remember I saw that. He's a kickboxing black belt. There's places like Europe and in Latin America where they do give belts out for Muay Thai and for kickboxing and stuff. It's obviously something I'm not too familiar with because I've never... we don't do it at my gym nor many other gyms that I've seen. But yeah, I do know some gyms do it. But he's fighting out of Bogdan Grad. He's fighting out of Austria. He's a very good striker. Obviously, he's a kickboxer, good striker, but he has more of the grappling than Luke Riley has. I'm trying to find his subs. So back in Grad, he's got a 15-3 record. 9 came via those wins have come via KO. 3 have come via subs, and he fights out of Austria. Don't know a lot of Austrian fighters. But yeah, round 1. Literally right when the round started, Grad immediately goes for almost right when the round started. He went for a spin attack. Like I think it was like the first minute in the first round. But other than that, Grad, he shoots for a single and he gets it. Honestly, you could tell off the first round what the game plan was for Grad. I mean, clearly he felt like he was the better grappler, and he trained in the ground. Right when the bell rang, he was going for singles, going for doubles. He was pushing Riley against the cage and clenching. One of the things that I felt like Luke Riley was doing bad was he kept kind of backing up, and he was giving Grad the space to shoot and to freely kind of run his takedowns and clenches. When you face a strong grappler and you're trying to strike, one of the things is you have to find ways to keep them on their back foot. I know it's hard to do. It's easier said than done, right? Because if you're using your punching combinations, right, they can slip under and go for a double. If you're using your kicks, they can grab a leg, take you down with a single, if you don't want to get in the clench ranges, the knees, because if you start going to the knees, though, you're helping them get into the clench. Everyone's different. Everyone's body's different. You got to find what works for you and how you can keep your opponent off you. I think with Luke Riley, because he's the better striker, maybe just work a lot of jabs, work a lot of low kicks. Angles. You got to work angles. Learn how to slide out boxing. But Grad, clearly he shows his grappling is better. He gets takedowns over and over. Anytime he goes for a takedown, he's able to get it. Riley was defending, and he would defend good, but then eventually he would get taken down. He looked a little bit more uncomfortable in the clench, right? Which I think he does do Muay Thai, so he should have some familiarity with the clench, but it's a different thing. It's MMA, right? Pretty much the end of the first round, Grad, he ends it on top, throwing hammer fists and elbows. That's kind of how I remember round 1 going. I remember thinking to myself, Riley really needs to work his takedown defense for this next round. Otherwise, it's going to be a long night for him, Round 2, right when the round starts, Luke Riley drops Grad, literally within the first minute. It was just, he threw a huge left hook, right? I think there's an exchange, and he slid out, and then I think Grad, he threw a left hook or something. Luke Riley kind of slid back and brought his left hook with him as he was sliding out, kind of followed him. Drops Grad, gets on top, lands a couple TKOs, some hammer fists. Fight is over. What a crazy comeback. Honestly, I was blown away. I was just wow. He went from me thinking this is going to be a rough night to damn, my guy just got a dub. Secured the win. Luke Riley, I'm excited to see him. He comes from Patty Pimplett's camp. I don't know why I expected him to just be better with the grappling for some reason. I guess because of Patty, but just because you have one guy that's good at one thing, that doesn't mean that whole gym focuses on that one thing. But it's good to see Patty there. He was in his corner, and I noticed when Patty's teammates fight, he's literally always there, dude. He's a supportive teammate. I really like that about him. Winner Luke Riley via TKO. Pay attention to this guy. He is now 12-0 in the UFC with 9 KOs in his MMA career. Exciting fighter to watch. I welcome it. Maybe, who knows, Alex Pereira type stuff. I don't know. Speaking of Alex Pereira, the next fight I want to talk about, Alex Perez versus Asa Almabayev. Alex Perez, he's coming in ranked at number 7. Almabayev, he's ranked number 8. This is a flyweight bout. What can I say, man? Honestly, I know a lot about Alex Perez just because he trains right here in Southern California. He's part of Team Oyama, which is in Irvine, not too far from where I live. So I know a few of those guys, right? Actually, one of the guys from Oyama, he comes to my work. He's one of our customers. Not going to say his name, but it's a good gym, dude. And I'm glad that, it's here in SoCal. It's cool just to see all the people come from it. But yeah, so I know him because he trains at primarily a lot at Oyama. But yeah, I know Alex Perez because of Team Oyama. I follow him on IG and whatnot. So I know this guy. This guy's a beast, dude. He's pretty much good everywhere. He's got great, phenomenal striking. That gym focuses a lot on boxing, so you'll see a lot of their fighters. They're really good with slipping. They're really good with the hooks, like the inside punching. They mix up their punches to the bodies really well. Perez, he takes that boxing that he learns out of Oyama's and he's kind of like changed it up a bit. He adds a lot more like low kicks. I think one of the stats is he's got like he's one of like 18 people to get a low kick KO in the UFC. But yeah, Perez, he's coming in with just a lot of hype, man. Oh yeah, dude, right before the round started, he was like screaming at himself at the top of his lungs. It was really interesting to watch, dude. He was his own hype man for sure. And Almabayev, he's coming in. He's from Kazakhstan. He also had Shavkat in his corner. Very heavy wrestler. He's Asa Almabayev. He's got a 22-3 record. I didn't write Perez's record or what? Damn, I messed up on. Oh, I didn't write Perez's record. Why not? What's wrong with me? That's very odd of me to do. Let me see. Do I have it in my notes? I think I did. I probably just accidentally copied stuff over wrong. I'm sorry, Alex Perez. Okay, Luke Riley, okay, that was the last fight. Alex Perez. Okay, so Alex Perez is coming in at a 25-9 record. Asa Almabayev, he's coming in with a 22-3 record. I would say Perez is a little bit more well-rounded. He does grapple well, but he prefers the striking, boxing, a lot of good low kicks. Asa Almabayev, he's more of the wrestler. He does have somewhat striking, but I mean, he's mostly just a wrestler, bro. But anyways, round one, Perez is looking fantastic, dude. He is stuffing all the shots. You can tell he prepared really well for this fight. He knew this was going to be a grappling exchange. He even mentioned how he brought in just a bunch of different grapplers from different backgrounds. He just wanted to get different looks and he wanted to make sure whatever Almabayev brought that night that he was going to be prepared for. Perez, like I said, it was just looking fantastic, dude. Good combos. He hurt Almabayev early on with low kicks, just was chopping him away. There's parts where he would like turn his whole body into a low kick. Really messed him up. Almabayev, he really couldn't get a rhythm in that first round. And anytime he would like I said, anytime he tried something, it just looked like Perez was just one step ahead of him. He was able to react quickly. He was able to flow really well. He just looked like he was in a flow state, and the other thing too is Perez had Almabayev backing up like right from the jump, took the center, pushed him against the cage, and Almabayev really couldn't get off like his singles or double legs or none of that, just because he was constantly moving backwards, right? He had to move away from the cage. He was kind of like worried about getting caught and getting punched in the face or kicked in the leg. I don't even think he got one takedown. I think Almabayev, I can't remember. I gotta look at the stats, but every takedown he attempted, he got stuffed. He might have got Perez down once or twice, but Perez got back up to his feet quickly. It just didn't look like it was going to be a good fight for Almabayev. Round two, Perez is dominating. He's throwing uppercuts, throwing knees, throwing takedowns. He took Asa Almabayev down. Like, honestly, I did not expect that. I knew he trained grappling and wrestling, but I did not know he would come in with this type of confidence. Almabayev, he finally lands a nasty spinning back kick to the ribs of Perez. I don't know why I wrote finally in my notes, but he throws a spinning back kick to Perez's to Perez's like liver. I believe it's your liver right in the back. And the way he caught him was clean. Like, Perez was coming forward. He saw Almabayev like turn, and he kind of like put his hands in for, I think, maybe like a kick or some body kick or something, and he just left a tiny opening in the middle, and that's, Almabayev just landed right down the middle. It got Perez to just take him down. He did like, I think it really hurt him, and he did like instantly just was like, all right, take him down. So he went to take him down. Perez, like, he went to take him down. There was a scramble. Perez literally was every position that they were in on the ground. Perez was just like dominating, right? Like, it didn't matter which way Almabayev would try to spin, do side control, whatever. Perez just had an answer for everything. I think at the very end of round two, Almabayev, he does get a sweep in at the end, doesn't really get to do much. Round three, I got Perez up 2 rounds. Almabayev really needs to secure a finish. Out of nowhere, dude, Almabayev, he lands a spinning back kick to Perez's head. Perez kind of blocks it, but it kind of grazes him, and it really kind of, like, I think it really kind of hurt him, and he kind of backs up a little bit. The second he backs up, Almabayev jumps to a standing guillotine. He gets a standing guillotine while Perez is still on his feet. Perez tries to push him off, can't push him off. He ends up tapping on his feet to a standing guillotine. What an incredible turnaround! What an incredible comeback! Honestly, there's a couple good comebacks in this event. This was probably one of the better. I think this is the best comeback. But the winner is Asa Almabayev via submission. That is the standing guillotine. Very impressive. I mean, I feel bad for my boy Perez, man. Perez really was looking good. He was looking dominant, but he slipped up. He didn't respect the power. Didn't respect the power, baby. You got to respect the power. But, it happens. I think if these two were to go again, honestly, I think Perez will probably take him. I think the next time around, he'll be a lot more cautious. And I will smoke to that. I think I have like Keith and super good flower, dude. But yeah, I'll smoke to that. Alex Perez, if you're out there, hopefully you're interested in getting like an interview or something. I don't know what city he's in, but I know he trains in Irvine. But yep, winner Almabayev. This next fight is, this fight I was more excited about than any other card on this fight, even more than the main event. Just because to me, I was like, Arman Tsarukyan, I thought he was gonna walk Dan Hooker. It makes me sad because I like Dan Hooker, but I was like, Arman Tsarukyan's gonna dog walk him. Just the levels, right? But this fight, I was more excited for. This is a fight, Tiger Ulam-Bekov versus Kyoji Horiguchi. Kyoji is a freaking savage. People don't even know because Kyoji was in the UFC about 9 years ago is when he left the UFC. He was in the UFC in the flyweight division when the flyweight was like a new division, right? So people didn't really know about him. People didn't f- the smaller fighters. He really got no clout at all. It was kind of sad. And his personality is really nice. He's Japanese, he doesn't speak English. So I think he went unheard of. Really, this is a time of Demetrius Johnson. DJ was out there. He fought DJ. DJ was the only defeat he ever received in the UFC. He fights DJ for, I believe it was a championship or something. I can't remember exactly, but he fights DJ. He loses, and he ends up leaving the UFC. He basically says that he's not deserving to be in the UFC. He's not at that caliber. So he takes off. He goes to Bellator for a while, becomes their champion, right? And then I think, he becomes their champion. After he spent some time there, he then goes to Rizin in Japan, where he lives, right? His home country. He goes to Rizin and he becomes a double champ in Rizin in flyweight, and I don't remember the other weight class, strawweight or something. I don't know, bantamweight. I forgot. But he becomes double champ in Rizin, right? Obviously, people are going to sit there and they're going to say Bellator, Rizin, they're not at the same level as the UFC. And yeah, for the most part, they're right. The fighters in Rizin, the fighters in Bellator, they were of the same caliber as the UFC fighters, but that doesn't mean that every fighter was dog. You know what I mean? There was good fighters, especially if you're the champion, you're going to fight really good fighters. And you do see champions go from these other organizations and they come to UFC and they do good, Kyoji was a savage. He fought Kai Asagura, actually. I don't remember. I think he fought Kai Asagura. Did Kyoji Horiguchi fight Kai Asagura?
Yes, Kyoji Horiguchi and Kai Asagura did fight. They actually faced off at Rizin 20 back in December 2019, and it was a pretty exciting bout. Horiguchi won that fight via decision. If you need more details, just let me know.
Did they ever fight again?
As of now, they haven't fought again since that first encounter in 2019. They both competed in different promotions and divisions since then, but no rematch has taken place so far.
Thank you.
If there's any update in the future, I can definitely let you know.
Yeah, so he fought Kai Asagura. Kai Asagura is a savage. I know he came to the UFC and he hasn't done as good, but go watch his fights in Rizin. He slapped people. He broke people's faces. The fight he had with Kyoji was a freaking barn burner. It was so exciting, I was sad when Kyoji left just because I knew he is a complete fighter. I talked about Arman Tsarukyan. Kyoji is the Japanese version of Arman Tsarukyan. The only difference is Arman Tsarukyan, he's Christian. We have Christian values. We like money. You know how the Christians are. All right. He's not like the Dagestanis. Kyoji is Japanese. He's the when you think of a Japanese man, you think of Kyoji. He's lived by the sword, died by the sword. Doesn't need freaking all the riches in the world. He just wants to prove he is the best. So I was excited to see him back in the UFC. He just got back to the UFC. This was his, I don't know, is it his debut fight? I guess you would call it. I guess his re-debut fight against Tiger Ulam-Bekov. Ulam-Bekov is no slouch, you know. Yeah, let's get into Kyoji. My man's back. He's coming in 34-5-1 record. Former Bellator champ, former Rizin double champ, just an absolute legend. Literally one of my favorite Japanese fighters ever. You know, he's very technical, very fast, and very explosive. Complete fighter, can beat you in the grappling, can beat you in the striking, can beat you punching, kicking, choking you out, or just freaking, you know, maintaining position. Ulam-Bekov, he's coming in. He's got a 17-2 record. You know, Ulam-Bekov, he's a crazy heavy wrestler. He's part of Team Khabib. If I'm not mistaken, I think he is team captain for Team Khabib. I'm not sure what that means. I don't know if that means for a specific class or whatever. But if I'm not mistaken, I believe he's team captain. Very heavy wrestler. He's got a 7-inch reach advantage. He looks just a lot bigger than Kyoji, like way bigger. But yeah, let's get into it. Round one, you know, Horiguchi, his angles were just sick. This is why I like watching this guy fight. Kyoji, when he fights, he doesn't walk forward. He's always using angles. He's ending a combination, moving one way. He'll move one way during a combination, and then when he ends it, he'll be somewhere else, right? This guy throws his low kicks so hard. Like, he literally puts all of his weight down. He literally jumps into it. It's like he doesn't expect you to check it. He doesn't even care if you check it. That's his mentality. He's like, if I'm going to hit you, I'm going to hit you hard. And if it hurts me in the process, it's going to hurt me in the process. But yeah, Horiguchi, he turns it up. Heavy low kicks, heavy overhands. He gets a takedown. Did he get a takedown in round one? I can't remember if he got a takedown in round one. Actually, I don't. Yeah, he does actually. Yeah, so he's just just angles, a lot of angles. You know, he's just fast, cleaner combinations. Ulam-Bekov, he looked like he was uncomfortable. He could not stand in a striking match with Kyoji. I knew that from the beginning. So it was going to be about how he's able to close the distance, and he cannot touch Kyoji. Kyoji just kept moving around, kept angling out, strike, move. And when he did strike, he would back Ulam-Bekov off just because he was hitting so hard. It's not like you could just stand there trying to block and catch him, you know? He gets a takedown at the end of round one, if I'm not mistaken. But Ulam-Bekov, he's able to. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. Ulam-Bekov gets the takedown, but Kyoji pops back up like immediately, like in a second. It literally wasn't too bad. Round two, Horiguchi, he's starting to feel more comfortable. Starts to land more low kicks, more overhands. This time he gets a takedown, right? He gets Ulam-Bekov on the ground, and he lands some ground and pound on him, right? I mean, Horiguchi is just on him, bro. Like, literally on top of him, throws some ground and pounds. Ulam-Bekov's able to get back to his feet, but Horiguchi's still in that clench position, and he's still striking with them. He's just landing and just moving, and just like, you can tell Ulam-Bekov looked frustrated. He could not get his time and rhythm against Horiguchi. Round three, Horiguchi's just destroying Ulam-Bekov, man. Like I said, it's like it's like he's got a fucking sheet that he's following. Low kicks. Oh yeah, actually, I think it was in the beginning of the round. Horiguchi, he goes and he throws a hard ass low kick. Right, he gets reaction off that low kick, and then his next strike is he jumps into like a left hook, like he hops into it, drops Ulam-Bekov. You know, ends up throwing. He drops him. There's an exchange, and then Horiguchi's throwing a combination. He throws a right kick right from his orthodox position. Throws a right kick straight to Ulam-Bekov's head. Ulam-Bekov, he kind of like ducked in for like to block or something, or maybe to duck under a punch, and Horiguchi gets him on the head. I don't know if Horiguchi like planned on that and aimed it, or if he planned on it being a body kick, and he just got the head kick, but. Man, he lands the head kick, gets on top, ground and pound, takes his back, and literally, at this point, it's been 3 rounds of Ulam-Bekov. I'm sorry, I'm high. This is 3 rounds of Ulam-Bekov getting beat up. Like, the whole fight, Ulam-Bekov is just getting pieced up, getting destroyed. He's got a good chin because he's not going out, you know? I think Horiguchi kind of felt bad for him, and he just was like, I'm just going to seal the deal and finish it. He basically took his back and gets a rear naked choke in, and he just, he gets the tap. Wild comeback, dude. I did not expect anything less of Kyoji. I'm so glad this is the outcome we had because, he's like 35 now or something. It's a long time to, he's older. He's been fighting for a long time. I was kind of concerned, like, damn, what's version are we going to see, What version are we going to see Kyoji? And I'm glad we saw, the Kyoji that we saw when he left, just the top performer, creme de la creme. Just, I think that this puts him in top 5 for sure. He calls out Pantoja. I think Pantoja's fighting Joshua Van next. And the funny thing is they're actually teammates, so they kind of avoid fighting each other throughout most of their career. But I think now, because Kyoji's older and, like I said, he's a Bellator champion, right? Rizin champion. I think the only belt that he hasn't gotten that makes sense would be the UFC belt. If he gets the UFC belt, then goes to ONE FC. He fought at ONE FC too, didn't he? Did Kyoji fight in ONE FC? I'm sorry. Did Kyoji Horiguchi fight in ONE FC?
Yes, Kyoji Horiguchi did compete in non-championship. He actually joined ONE in 2020 and had some notable fights there, including a bout against Demetrius Johnson. He actually had a lot of success in ONE, and it was a pretty exciting chapter in his career.
Yeah, they fought. I think he fought Demetrius Johnson again. I think he lost again too. If I'm not mistaken. Let me ask. Did he win against Demetrius Johnson?
Yeah, you're right. Kyoji Horiguchi and Demetrius Johnson fought twice in ONE championship. Horiguchi actually won their first encounter in April 2021 by knockout, but then in their rematch later that year, Demetrius Johnson got the win by decision. It was definitely a thrilling matchup both times.
I gotta fact check that if you want by knockout, but I'm gonna believe ChatGPT. So they fought like 3 times, and yeah, so I was excited to see him. A good on Kyoji. Welcome back to the UFC. We'll see what happens after Joshua Van. It'd be kind of interesting if Van wins against Pantoja, and then he fights Kyoji. I think Kyoji deserves it. My man, he's a company man, right? I'd be interested to see that. I don't know how the fans feel about that, but anyways, moving on. Waldo Cortez Acosta, he is ranked number 6 versus Shamil Gaziev, ranked number 11. This is a heavyweight bout. Waldo Cortez Acosta, he's taking this fight on 2-day notice. They were talking about this in the UFC, but he flew in on a Friday. He was told on Wednesday. He flew in on a Friday. I think he's from like Dominican Republic, right? And this happened in Qatar. So he got the news, flew straight in as soon as he could, got in on a Friday, hit the right from the airport and went straight to the scale. Interesting, right? But yeah, he's fighting Shamil Gaziev. Gaziev was preparing for a grappler. He's actually going to fight Spivak. Haven't seen Spivak in a while. Kind of forgot about him. I would have loved to see Spivak. Spivak is more of a grappler, so it kind of interesting to see how that one is going to play out. Gaziev, he's more of a striker, but I like I said, he was completely preparing for a grappler, so I can only assume he was working the ground. Instead, he ends up getting another striker. I don't know if that's good or bad. It kind of probably sucks because he's like, I haven't really been playing. I haven't been really training striking too much, but whatever. Round 1, they bang. Gaziev gets reckless, goes to the body, tries to throw something to the head, gets clipped by Acosta's cross, gets back up, gets dropped again by Acosta's cross. Fight is over. Gonna keep it short and sweet. Fight ended in the first round, couple seconds. Literally got chopped twice. Cannot be good for his brain cells. But yeah, that puts Waldo Cortez Acosta on a 5-fight win streak. Oh no, I'm sorry. That puts him at 5 fights this year in the UFC. 4 of those have come via wins, 2 via KOs. At the end of his interview, he basically asked for another fight. He says he'd be interested to fight before New Year's. He wants to make it 6. Would that make it a record? I don't know. That might make it a record. What's the record, ChatGPT? What's the record that a UFC fighter has for most fights in 1 calendar year?
The record for the most UFC fights in a single calendar year is held by Nate Diaz, who fought 5 times in 2009. It's quite a remarkable feat, especially considering how demanding the UFC schedule can be.
Okay, so that's Nate Diaz, and they're basically tied right now. So if he gets one more, he beats Nate Diaz. I think Nate Diaz probably had a fight and probably won 5 though. But it's all good. We'll give it to Cortez Acosta. I want to see him fight one more. Let's give it to him, Dana. Sign the contract, baby. Anyways, he basically didn't have to. He didn't get hurt this fight. He showed up, fought for a minute, and won. I think we can do it. Next fight that I want to talk about. This was a fight I actually cared about. Not that I didn't care about the other one. I just didn't know him. Just didn't know. I'm sorry, guys. Jack Hermansson versus Miektikbek Oralbay. I'm just gonna call him Oralbay. These Kazakhstanians, man. This is a welterweight fight. Jack Hermansson, he's coming in at a 24-9 record. Oralbay, he's coming in at a 14-2-1 record. I will also note that Hermansson is 37 years old. Oralbay is 27 years old. Not sure if that matters. I mean, it always matters, right? It does matter. 35 is 37. That's old. You're getting to the end of your fight career. 27. That's when you're in the mix of it. You're in the middle of it. We shall see if that plays into the fight, right? But Oralbay, he's now fighting out of Sacramento. I do like that. I'm not like crazy about the grappling or none of that, but Oralbay, I've seen him in the past and he does strike with people, even though his bread and butter is wrestling. But I will say he's training out of California now. So that makes him a Californian, and I always support my people. So I'm gonna call him my people, right? I'm calling him my people. He's a Californian. He's my people, right? So that's who I'm rooting for. Let's see how this goes. Round one. Jack Hermansson, he looks huge. Straight off the bat, watching him come in, he looks huge, bro. He looks like he's like 2 weight classes above Oralbay, man. Honestly, it didn't even look like they should have sanctioned this fight. Oralbay doesn't care, though. He literally takes the center of the octagon. He fights a lot with his hands down, which I don't like. I don't know why he does that. I don't know if it's just his fighting style is like, I don't know if he has a traditional style or wrestling or something. So he's used to the hands down. But he literally like walks forward with his hands down, and he was walking forward to the taller fighter with his hands down. So he's getting popped with like jabs on his way in, I mean, it was whatever because it wasn't too bad. I mean, Oralbay was able to basically establish his dominance early on. Just a lot of pressure, man, coming from Oralbay. A lot of pressure. Hermansson couldn't really get his respect. I mean, he tried clenching a few times, but he just couldn't back off Oralbay. Oralbay cracked him. I think he cracks him behind the ear at some point, and he drops him, finishes him. He basically gets on top. He finishes him with some ground and pound strikes. Winner is Miektikbek Oralbay via TKO, KO, first round. A lot of people were talking about how this fight looks staged. So you know how we had this whole FBI investigation going on with the stage fights? Now everyone's looking into everything with like a microscope. This fight, there was a part when Oralbay lands the cross that drops Hermansson. Hermansson's got his hands up and it kind of just grazes him. From one angle, it looks like he kind of hit him like somewhere right here, and his fist continued to move. But when you looked at the other angle from this side, it hit him pretty hard, and then his fist slid past the skull after he hit him. I just think when he hit him behind the ear, and it just was a good place shot. I think Jack also had a big weight cut. He's obviously the bigger fighter, so he had to cut all this weight, and then he got clipped behind the ear. I think both those played out into him getting knocked out, and it kind of not looking like Oralbay hit him that hard. I don't know. It'd be funny how you think Oralbay just was like, damn, I'm at the end of my career. Let me just make a couple hundred stacks off this fight. That'd be funny. That'd be funny and sad at the same time. But yeah, I think it's just weight cut plus good shot placement. And that's what, got us that outcome, the outcome of that KO. What are my thoughts for Oralbay? Oralbay, obviously he's coming up. He's, what did I say he was ranked? He's ranked. I didn't even write what he's ranked. I don't even know if he's ranked. He probably is ranked. I just don't know. Let me ask my assistant. What rank is Miektikbek Oralbay?
Stipe Miocic.
No, not Stipe. Oralbay. Miektikbek.
Got it. As of now, Stipe Miocic is not ranked in the UFC heavyweight
Not
division.
Stipe. His last name is Oralbay. He's a welterweight. I cannot pronounce his first name.
As of now, Miektikbek Oralbay isn't ranked in the UFC welterweight division. He recently won his fight on November 22nd, 2025, and has had some notable performances, including a fight of the night bonus.
Thanks. All right, thanks. Yeah, so he's not ranked yet. Maybe give him a top 15. Should we give him a top 15? I like to play matchmaker. I do. So where are we at? We're at welterweight. Welter, we got it's tough. Oralbay, who can he fight? Give him Gilbert Burns, Geoff Neal, Daniel Rodriguez. Let's give him Daniel Rodriguez. Let's see how he does with Daniel Rodriguez. I'm down for that. It's just, I don't know. I'm just high talking now. Oralbay though, he gets the dubs. Good on him. I think he's like somewhere around Kazakhstan too. Yeah, next fight, Alonzo Mainfield, number 4. He's ranked number 14 versus Volkan Ozdemir, ranked number 9. Man, this was another fight I wanted to see. People sleep on Ozdemir. He's a great striker, bro, and he's exciting. I like to watch him fight. He doesn't fight as much as he used to. I sometimes forget that he's in there, but he's ranked number 9, you know. Mainfield, he's an explosive fighter. He's dangerous. He doesn't have the best gas tank, and honestly, he doesn't have the best technique, but he's very strong, you know. And he's a big guy, you know. Ozdemir, he's ranked number 9. Man, this guy's been fighting in the UFC for a long time. I think he's been in there for 12-ish years or something. And for as far back as I can remember, he's been in the top 10 rankings for forever. I feel like he literally came in, had a debut, made the top 10, and kind of stayed in the top 10. He's ranked number 9, so he's kind of a little, further down on the list. But like I said, Ozdemir, he's a fun guy to watch. He's very technical, great striking. Where is he from, dude? I think he's from Sweden or something. Where's Volkan Ozdemir from?
Volkan Ozdemir is from Switzerland. He was born in Turkey, but grew up and fights out of Switzerland. And he's known as a top light heavyweight contender in the UFC.
Yeah, Switzerland. So it's right there, next to Holland and all them. Just those Dutch styles, kickboxing style. He's really exciting to watch, dude. He mixes it up really well. I like to watch him. He's bald. He looks like Professor Xavier if he could fight. But yeah, Volkan, he's got elite technique, tight combos, bro. Everything's super clean. 10th all-time knockdowns in lightweight history. But yeah, he's a fun fighter to watch. Round 1, Volkov, he takes to the center of the octagon. He just, like I said, he's mixing his strikes up well. He just beautiful striking. Mainfield mollywops. He literally can't read anything. He's just kind of stunned, Mainfield throws an overhand. I mean, this is how locked in Ozdemir was, right? At one point, Mainfield throws a hard-ass overhand, dude. And Mainfield kind of sees it, and he kind of just slides out the way, gets back in, and lands his combination, He basically slides out, comes in with the uppercut, knee, and then a flurry of combinations, KOs Mainfield. That's it. That fight ended first round. Winner, Volkan Ozdemir via KO. Everything he threw was crispy, clean combinations. Boom, boom, boom on the inside stuff. A lot of good knees. It was a masterclass in striking, man. Honestly, it was just a striking masterclass. Winner, Volkan Ozdemir via KO. Gonna keep it pushing. Because we are running out of time. Co-main event, I'm going to keep this one short. Belal Muhammad, he's ranked number 2 versus Ian Machado Garry, ranked number 6. This is a welterweight fight. Man, what can I say? Let me start off by saying if Ian Garry, if you're out there, if you listen to this podcast, if you watch this clip, please don't be upset with me. Part of this is just, it's just for, shits and giggles. I don't mean any of this too much, but there is some truth in it. So just don't take offense to it. But that's just a disclaimer. Sorry, I'm high. I'm really empathetic when I'm high, dude. That's what's good about weed. But anyways, Ian Garry, the simp we love to hate. Bro turned simping into a superpower. If you guys don't know the drama with his wife and her ex-husband, I mean, this chick was married to a football athlete. Ian Garry got with her after. She got her ex-husband to move in with her and Ian Garry. And he became Ian Garry's nutritionist. Not only was he living with, your wife's ex-husband living with you, but also he ended up taking this dude's last name as well. So full name is Ian Garry. His wife was Machado, whatever her name is, whatever her first name is, Machado, because she's married to something Machado. So Ian took her ex-husband's name, and now his name is Ian Garry Machado. I think it was because this guy's something to do with jiu-jitsu or something, or lineage. I don't freaking know. It just, to me, seemed really simpy. I didn't like it. It was, yeah. It was, but he's a phenomenal fighter, man. This guy pretty much would have been undefeated if it wasn't for Shavkat. He fought Shavkat 2 fights ago. Shavkat handed him his first L in the UFC. And it was a tough fight. It was hard to score, a lot of back and forth. It was not an easy fight for Shavkat. Shavkat, his knee is injured and totally effed now. So that's just the type of war he had. Shavkat. Belal Muhammad, he's former champ. He beat Leon Edwards. He's also one of the most hated fighters in the UFC. Honestly, between him and Ian Garry, I don't know. Probably Ian Garry gets more hate, though. I'm going to be honest. Ian Garry is hated by many. Sorry, dude. Belal gets a lot of hate, too. They're both pretty corny. They both like to talk shit and do those kind of corny behavior. I'm going to be honest, dude. It's really like, ugh. But whatever, it is what it is. Belal Muhammad, though, he's phenomenal wrestling, a lot of pressure, grinds people out. He's since then been working a lot of his boxing, you know. I think when he fought for JDM, when he fought JDM, he prepared a lot for the striking of JDM, which was boxing specifically, and I think he really fell in love with it. And you see him use his boxing a lot more and take more chances. But yeah, both of them similar style, very heavy grapplers, grinders. I think Ian's the more well-rounded fighter. He uses a lot more kicks, and he's not just like push you against the cage and try to secure a takedown. He's just a little bit more active, you know, but similar in approaches. Round one, Belal takes the center. Literally, you can see the game plan is go in the middle, establishes your dominance. Wasn't the smartest thing to do because he kind of would just walk forward. You know, he's walking forward into the taller fighter, and you know, not only that, but I would say Ian Garry's just a better striker overall. You know, but yeah, Ian Garry would just pick him apart, bro. Like jabs were landing whenever he wanted. He was throwing a lot of attacks from his right leg, his back. He actually favors that a lot. I noticed that he likes to use his right leg more, probably because he's so tall. He gets the same amount of reach from his back leg as someone normally would with their front leg, and you're getting more power. But yeah, he was throwing a lot of oblique kicks and then low kicks. He was mixing those up really well and then sliding out. Belal, he was relying too much on his boxing, bro. He was trying to land specifically that cross over the top. He was he was literally fighting for it. It wasn't good. It wasn't looking too good for him. Ian, he drops Belal with low kicks. At one point, he throws a low kick and he drops Belal. Belal gets up. It ends up there. They have a scuffle. There's a body lock situation. Belal is able to fight the body lock. Overall, that first round, I got to give it to Ian Garry. Those oblique legs were destroying Belal, right? Because Belal just kept walking forward all heavy on that. And so he would just pop that oblique kick, you know, and then he would mix that low kick to the calf or to the thigh. And, you know, it was good because, you know, you're expecting that oblique kick. Now you want to pull that leg back and then you're just getting slapped on the calf or slapped on the thigh instead, you know. Masterful, very masterful. And honestly, I don't know, Belal needs to learn how to use angles more because all he does is come forward. That's all he knows. He comes forward with the wrestling or he'll come forward with the striking. He needs if you want it to become a better striker, you need to learn how to off center, right? Throw combination and on your other side, you know, throw combination, slide one other way. I personally don't like going to the power side, but I get it. It works, especially if you're a wrestler. You can slide out and then go into a takedown. I guess there's other stuff, but coming forward is not going to always work. And he should have adjusted it off of round one and not came forward so much. Maybe try to work letting Ian Garry come to him. You know, maybe you work. Well, I guess you can't because he doesn't have footwork. He did try to take Ian down a few times. Couldn't do it. Ian overall, Ian looked like he was the bigger guy too, honestly. It looked like a lot of these positions he was able to just muscle out. The striking, he was kind of able to stay safe just because he was so long, you know? So Belal couldn't catch him. And Ian Garry fights long, right? The way it's because he's so tall, he's able to fight. He keeps his hips back and then he keeps his feet planted forward, right? And the reason he does is because his hips out backwards like this. If Belal goes for a single or like a double, he's able to pop his hip back, pull his leg out. He's already got that counterweight going backwards, right? And then he keeps his legs planted though, because if he decides he wants to explode forward with a strike, whether it's like a teep, oblique kick, or a jab, he's kind of like leaning forward. And so he just has to shift that way from his hips backwards to him shifting his way forward. Maybe even just use his feet to pop forward. And then now you get good pop, right? So you're kind of like staying defensively back. And this normally wouldn't work, you know, for normal people, but because Ian Garry is so tall, you know, and long, he's able to be in both positions at the same time. It's really interesting. Yeah, Belal gets poked. Oh, by the way, I think Belal got poked in the eye in the first round, by the way. Forgot to mention that. But yeah, round 2, Belal, he lands a couple good punches. It's a competitive round, you know. It's not like Belal's like, it's not like Ian Garry's dog walking Belal, but he's winning. He's beating Belal, you know. But Belal's in it, and he's able to you know, stand with Ian Garry and push, give him some pressure, you know. But Ian Garry, dude, he literally just saw everything coming, bro. He had good eye, bro. Whenever Belal would charge forward, Ian Garry would do a good job at sliding out or countering with the oblique kick or low kick, you know, jab, you know. Belal just couldn't get anything off, you know, and Belal doesn't kick. That's the other thing. You got to learn how to kick. You're fighting the taller fighter. You got to use your long skills, jab, teep, left kick, you know, low kick, angles, you know. But I didn't see much of it. Ian get the pokes Belal in the eye again in round 2. Round 2 is just a lot of Ian Garry putting it on him, you know. He starts, you know, feeling more comfortable. Belal is just charging forward and getting, you know, getting punished. Round 3, Belal, he knows that he's down on the card. He pushes forward. Ian basically disrupts him with a hard ass oblique kick. That oblique kick, I felt it through the screen. It looked like it hurt. Round 3, Ian Machado Garry, he just starts opening up, man. He's throwing spinning attacks, just really clean shots, a lot of low kicks, just destroying Belal's leg. That third round, basically, Belal was just a punching bag. I think he was just a punching bag, yeah. Winner, Ian Machado Garry. He wins via unanimous decision. Belal, he acts surprised. He acts surprised after the fight ends, and he didn't know the fight didn't go his way. I'll give it to him. It was a competitive fight, right? Ian Machado Garry couldn't put him out, and Belal did land some good strikes, right? Ian's face was cut, like he's cut just under the eye, I believe. I don't know if it was from a punch or a headbutt. I think it was from a punch, though. But you know, at the end of the day, Machado, he just was the bigger fighter. He just had more strikes, more diversity. Tough. I think if they fight, maybe Belal can. If they fight again, maybe Belal can learn a little and do better. I don't know. I think a lot of the problem is just Ian's just so big. You know what I mean? He's really big for that division. But anyway, so I'm gonna kind of rush through the last fight just because it's probably been like an hour or so. The main event. Arman Tsarukyan versus Dan Hooker. Arman Tsarukyan, he's ranked the number 1 in the freaking, what weight class is that in, dude? I don't even. Yeah, so main event, Arman Tsarukyan versus Dan Hooker. Arman Tsarukyan is ranked the number 1 in the welterweight rankings. Dan Hooker is ranked number 6. As I said, this will be not welterweight, lightweight. This is a lightweight bout. They are ranked 1 and 6 in the lightweight division. On paper, this fight probably didn't make sense, right? You got Arman, who is just the next level challenger, right? He's the next level challenger. He's probably going to give Ilya the hardest fight that Ilya's had of his career as of yet, I'm assuming. He's good all around, right? He's got great striking, good boxing, great jiu-jitsu, great wrestling, you know, flows really well, good footwork, good defensively, you know. He's a very technical fighter, right? Smart. He's a smart fighter. And then you got Dan Hooker. What can I say about Dan Hooker, baby? I love Dan Hooker. I love watching his fights, but you never know what you're going to get, right? You could get Dan Hooker that shows up like when he fought Dustin Poirier, freaking shocked the world. I think he still lost that fight, but it was a close fight, dude, and he hurt Dustin Poirier badly, right? Or sometimes, you know, I can't think of another fight, but sometimes, he shows up and he ends he loses the first round. Like it wasn't even like any, I can't even think off the top of my head. I'm sorry. I don't, that's just how I am because I'm not the type of fan that just thinks of the losses and I'm like, F this fool. When I think of the fighters I like, I think of their wins. Even after they lost so many times, I'm still thinking of their wins. But anyways, you just never know what you're going to get out of Dan Hooker, but he's got what he excels in is striking. Dan Hooker is a phenomenal striker. He mixes it up well, punches, elbows, knees, kicks. He is, I think I wrote this down somewhere, but yeah, let me see. Where did I write this down? He is one of the few UFC fighters who have gotten KOs with every limb. He's gotten a punching KO, he's gotten an elbow KO, a knee KO, a kick KO. I remember I saw this somewhere. Where did I read it? Yeah, I don't know. But anyways, he's on Dan Hooker, he's on a 3-fight win streak. He has a KO with every limb, punches, kicks, elbows, knees. Very accomplished striker, dude. He's a phenomenal striker. He's got good takedown defense, right? I don't remember how many submissions he has. Did I write it down? I don't know if he has any submissions, but he does attack a lot, like the guillotine, and like he doesn't just accept positions from the bottom, He's a fun fighter to watch. I like watching Dan Hooker fight. He's fun. He's exciting, right? But let's get into it. Round 1, it's super apparent that, Dan Hooker, he's the taller fighter, right? He's way longer, way lengthier. He takes the center, a lot of pressure. He does not give any space to Arman Tsarukyan. He basically comes forward and he makes Arman fight at Dan Hooker's range. Arman's backing up. He's going against the fence. He's using angles. He's trying to, it's like he has to try to find a way to shoot while also avoiding the shots coming at him and also avoiding the fence. You know what I'm saying? But Arman, he's 6'2". He stays on the outside and finds his way in. He lands his strikes. There's a clinch exchange. A knee lands. At some point, Dan puts Arman in clinch. He lands a couple knees. There's a scramble. Arman ends up on top in side control. It's pretty. There's a lot that happens this round. And honestly, I did a bad job at writing the notes. I can tell that because I write these while I'm watching the fight, and I can tell I'm getting into the fight because my notes are kind of making less and less sense. But it's honestly that first round. It looked like Arman was dominating. Not dominating, but Arman was getting the better exchanges. He was getting a lot of good punches in, and he was sliding out. Dan Hooker couldn't really. He was having a hard time getting his footing. He was landing some good kicks though, and it's not like he got mollywopped, but I think at the end of that round, I think Arman had it, and at the end of the round, I think Arman got into Dan Hooker's side control, and it basically ended with Arman on top of Dan Hooker. He landed a couple good elbows. Dan Hooker, for the most part, was able to stay safe, but he did eat a couple shots, and that's how the first round ended. Round 2, Dan comes out there. He tries a lot more kicks this time. He's kicking a lot, and it's working well. He's throwing a lot of left kicks, right kicks, teeps. He's just spamming kicks like Taekwondo style, but with the Muay Thai way, with the shin and the hip. He was doing really good, and I could tell Arman was having a hard time figuring out how to get in because Dan's so tall, his legs are so tall. It's like you're getting kicked, and then you're trying to figure out how to close the gap and like off a kick, against someone way taller than you. It's really hard, but kicks, there's some teeps. Arman, he goes for a shoot. He basically, I think he gets a single leg. I think so. If I remember this correctly, I think Dan Hooker throws a kick. Arman grabs it and he shoots in on it on a single. Dan grabs him into a guillotine. He basically has a guillotine and he's going to sink it in. He's got it sunk with his hand and he's about to wrap his legs around it to sink in the guillotine. And as he's doing that, Arman Tsarukyan basically rotates and scrambles and he basically spins with the guillotine before Dan can clasp his legs. He ends up on top of Dan in Dan Hooker's guard. It was spectacular. Honestly, I was like, damn, that is a crazy reversal right there. I think he did that like on 2 different occasions. There's another time, I think before that in round 1 where he does something like that. I'll include it in the clip. But Arman spins. He basically gets on top of, he has Dan and he basically puts him in an arm triangle. Dan Hooker ends up tapping, dude. He, fights over and it was a bad fight for Dan. I'm kind of blowing through it just because I like Dan Hooker, and most of what I would say was going to make me sad. But the whole first round, Dan was getting pieced up by Arman Tsarukyan. Arman's boxing was just beautiful. Good combinations, good power. Ground and pounds were sharp. Once he gets you to the ground, it's like he's not like these other Dagestanians that will just hold you down and try to get the position. It's like he wants the position, but he only wants the position so he can lean forward and strike. So he won't do anything until he has you where he wants to, and then he'll pop up and he'll start landing strikes until he feels you trying to squirm around and move, then he'll stop. So the strikes he does land are usually pretty powerful strikes. But yeah, that puts Arman Tsarukyan on a 10-fight win streak. Who is the next logical fight for Arman? I know. I think the next logical fight for me personally, I say just give him Ilia Topuria, champ versus monster. Let's freaking go. What do you do with Dan Hooker? He was on a 3-fight win streak. What do you do with Dan Hooker, right? Let's just take a look at the rankings real quick. Let's make it fight St. Dennis. Dan Hooker versus St. Dennis or Dan Hooker versus Fiziev. That would be interesting. Dan Hooker has he fought Michael Chandler? I can't believe Michael Chandler's still in the rankings, dude. That's crazy. Has Dan Hooker ever fought Michael Chandler?
Yes, Michael Chandler's fought quite a few notable opponents in the UFC and before that in Bellator. In the UFC, he's faced fighters like Dan Hooker, Justin Gaethje, Charles Oliveira, and Dustin Poirier. If there's a specific fight,
Michael Chandler versus Dan Hooker.
that's a pretty exciting matchup. Michael Chandler and Dan Hooker both have a reputation for being aggressive strikers and having exciting fights. They actually fought in June 2021 at UFC 260, and Chandler won by knockout in the first round. If you want more details or want to dive into any specific aspect of that fight, just let me know.
Well, let him get his get back, right? Let's have, we can do Hooker versus Chandler. Give Hooker the opportunity to get his get back, but that might not be good because Hooker's might I would say give Dan Hooker. We can do St. Denis, that might be a wash right there. He might not walk out of that. Fiziev would be a great fight for him. That'd be a good competitive fight. Or Dariush would be a great fight.
Yeah, definitely.
Shut up. I knew you were gonna talk. I saw you thinking. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Dan Hooker, Dariush versus Fiziev, or versus St. Denis. I would be down to see one of those. I think I'm kind of leaning more towards the Dariush or who else? Brain fart. Or Fiziev. Fiziev would be a good one. He was supposed to fight Gaethje again, and he got injured, so I was kind of bummed on that. I don't know. A lot of knockouts, a lot of finishes. I mean, honestly, we saw more finishes than we had not finishes, than we had decisions, and I love to see that. I love to see that. Maybe it's because of the new gloves. Maybe Dana White is right. The new gloves are working. People just need to learn to stop sucking and poking each other in the eyes. Yeah. I'd be okay with that, I guess. But that's it. Breakdown of UFC Fight Night Qatar. At least the fights that I cared about. This was a good card. Finishes everywhere. Legends returning. Upsets. Crazy moments, man. Arman, Tsarukyan just reminding the division who the real problem is. Thank you for your time. California Sober Podcast, baby. I am Mo. Let me know who you think should fight Dan Hooker. Who Dan Hooker should fight next. Like, comment, subscribe. Goodbye.